Hello, Sudoku friends, and welcome to a medium level of difficulty. This is from sudokuexchange.com. I thought I would mix it up a little and make a video today of something not all too difficult. So without further ado, let's see what we've got to work with here. There's a couple of 2's blocking up here and 1 2 blocking over, so here is going to be a 2, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
Here's a 2 blocking up and 1 blocking down and 1 blocking over. So here's another 2. And now can you find a 2 for the top suit? I think we only need one more 2 for the grid, and I'm sure that you can spot it. Otherwise, here we go. The 2 blocks over, the 2 blocks over, and we got a couple of 2's blocking up here. So a 2 must go here. Now I want you to spot a 5 for the top suit. The suit on the top, of course, comprises these 3 rows here. If you thought about this 5 blocking over, making one of these a 5, and they also block over together with this 5, then you would be thinking the right thing. And because now this 5 blocks up. Now I want you to think about an 8. Think about a number, any number, except it must be an 8. And see if you can find a naked single. It's hidden, but it's not that difficult to spot considering that we only have 3 8's in the grid. And actually I want you to spot 2 8's because both of them can be placed. Here comes the first. We got an 8 blocking down and we've got an 8 blocking up and we've got an 8 blocking over. So here must be an 8 which blocks here, and this 8 blocks here. So here is an 8. We only need 2 digits in the center box now, and one of them is a 5, and this 5 prevents a 5 from going here, therefore the 5 must go here, and the last digit for this block here is a 9, it must go here. And now I'm sure that you can spot a 9 for the middle suit. And that is a naked single because we have a couple of 9's blocking across, so a 9 must go here. And here is a neat little pattern that you can use to find a digit. Look at these 2 9's here, they block here, so a 9 must go in one of these 2 squares. Now look at these 2 9's, they block down here, so a 9 must go in one of these 2 squares. There is simply no other square available in this box here and in this box here for a 9. So now we need to consider the 9 for row 7. And since a 9 can't go here or here or here, it must go in one of these 2 squares. And this 9 blocks here. So here's a 9. And that find should prompt us to immediately scan upwards and see if this 9 has any ramifications for the 9's in the grid. So we scan up here, and we see these 2 9's blocking across. So here's a 9. The last 2 9's here in 2 of these 4 squares we can't place just yet. So we seem to be running out of obvious digits, so we need to do a little bit more work and look more deeply into the possibilities. One thing that we can do is do simple counting. I know it's frowned upon by many, but it's really effective, especially if you, as we have here, have a lot of givens already in a column. So for this column here, it is clear that we need to find a 1 and a 4 and a 6. Now let's examine this square. It can be seen by a 4 and a 1, so it's clear that it must be a 6. And it's equally clear that this one blocks here, so this must be a 4. And the last digit, of course, must be the 1. We immediately scan across here and we see this 1 blocking down. So now we know that one of these squares must be a 1. We also have a 1 here. So 1s are blocking across. It's now clear that one of these two must be a 1, and we don't have to examine that any further. All this activity left us with just one single cell to fill, and this cell, of course, must be a 5, because it's the last digit missing from the row. Since we found the 4 here, we know that a 4 must go up here somewhere, and we are also aware of the 7 here, and that means that a 7 also must go up here. So we got a 4-7 pair here, and that leaves only one square available for a 1, which of course must go here. This 1 blocks up and this 1 blocks over, so here's a 1.
Passenger number 1.
And now it's easy to spot a 1 in column 6, isn't it? Because we've got a 1 blocking over and up, so here's a 1. And now we can easily find a 1 for column 4, this column here, because a 1 blocks down and a 1 blocks down, 1 blocks over, so here's a 1 that we were talking about earlier. We were talking about a 1 going in one of these two squares. Now we know for certain that this is a square. So back to the 4-7 here, that means that these squares must be a 5 and a 1. So one of these is a 5. We'll just store that in short-term memory. Over here, we are still looking for a 3 and a 6, and those we can't solve yet. But one thing is certain, and that is that this 8 blocks over here, and therefore one of these two squares must be an 8. So these two squares are blocked from being an 8, and this 8 blocks up here. Therefore, this must be an 8. Now we can figure out what this square is going to be, and it must be a 3. And now I think you can easily find a 6 for row 3, because this 6 blocks here, and the only other available square is here. So here's a 6. Now let's consider these two squares. They must be a 3 and a 4. And we can enter those very easily because the 3 blocks up here, making this a 4 and this a 3. This square must be a 3. And that makes this square also a must be 3, leaving a 6 for this square. Now we need to find a 6 for the bottom suit here. And I'm sure you've spotted it already because this 6 blocks down and this 6 blocks over. Therefore, 6 goes here. And the last 6, I believe, of the puzzle must go here because we have a 6 blocking over here and one 6 blocking down. So here's a 6. Here we're looking for an 8 and a 7. We have a 7 blocking here, so the 8 must go here, the 7 here, and the 8 here. Here we must find a 4 and a 9. One of these must also be a 9. I do remember that one of these also had to be a 5. So we got a 5 and a 9 pair here, making these a 7 and a 4. The 4 blocks here, so here's a 7 and here's a 4. The last digit here must be 3, which blocks down. This 3 blocks over, this blocks down, so here's another 3. Here we need to find a 4 and a 1. The 1 blocks down, so the 4 must go here and the 1 here. This 1 blocks up, this 1 blocks over, here's a 1. 2 squares missing here. One is a 7, which must go here, because it's the last digit missing from the row, and the other digit is a 5, making this a 5 and making this a 4. This 4 blocks down, so does this. Here's a 4. Blocking across, here's another 4. And therefore this must be the 9. Which blocks over? So a 9 goes here. 2 digits missing here. One is a 5 and it must go here. The other is an 8. Only 2 digits missing now, and one is a 7. The 7 blocks down, so here's the 7 and here is a 5. This was a relatively simple,
Pretty simple, really.
medium difficulty puzzle from sudokuexchange.com, but I think that it showed you quite a few little techniques that we use to solve everyday Sudoku puzzles. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, would you mind subscribing to the channel? It would help me, I think, and also probably increase the awareness of the channel to other players who like to solve Sudokus. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.